you grammar Nazis? Now, I've specifically used the word Nazis because after having those rock solid 50 rules, I'm sure you must be feeling very confident of approaching grammar. And with the remaining 50, you are going to become a samurai in grammar. But please make sure that you do remember these because mota mota jo bolte hai, grammar isi ke ird gird hota hai. So if you know of these, there is no stopping for you when it comes to grammar. And it's just not the rules that you must always be studying. It is always extensive practice alongside the rules also that you must do. So while I'm hoping that you've already put on your practice shoes and that you are not only looking at the theory but also doing the practice simultaneously. And without any further ado, let us take the remaining 50 rules that we have and quickly understand what they are, beginning with the first. Now, we are now going to be beginning with the uses of adverbs. Now, what exactly are adverbs? Adverbs again are quality words, but they will always be telling us the quality of an existing adjective or a verb. Hence, it's an adverb. It's a portmanteau, which means two words have been merged together to be able to make one word. Now, first, a sentence which is based on to and to format, we cannot replace to with so that. If we replace to with so that, TWO2 must also be replaced with cannot. So if there is a statement wherein you have to and then TWO2 as well, and if you want to replace one side of it, always make sure they go in correlation. So अगर आपको TWO और TO करना है, तो आपको so that अगर change करना है, तो cannot with, I mean, you'll also have to change it with cannot. So for example, he is too weak so that he cannot walk. Of course, that's going to be incorrect. He is too weak to walk. So that is what the correlative is going to be, right? Another way to rephrase this is he is so weak that he cannot walk. So with so will always come cannot, and the two can always take a, the two can always take a to itself. This is all what the rule says. Next, much too is followed by an unpleasant adjective, which means a negative one, whereas too much is followed always by a noun. So always make sure much too is going to be then followed up with an unpleasant adjective and too much with always a noun. So if I have a statement that says his failure is too much painful for me, so that's going to be incorrect. The correct version of this is going to be his failure is much too painful for me. That is how it is always supposed to be. Likewise, his wife's rude behavior gives him much too pain. That's not how it is supposed to be. It has to be too much followed by the noun. So his wife's rude behavior gives him too much pain. So that is how it is. So you'll have to make sure that if it is much too, it will have to be followed by an unpleasant adjective. And if you have too much, it is then always going to be followed up with a noun. That is what the rule says. Next, quite and all are not used together. Always remember. So you can't have quite and all being used in the same statement. So he is quite all right. Now this is going to be wrong English because quite and all can't coexist. They can't be together. So the correct is he is quite right or he is all right. So please use it distinctly. Do not merge the two. A lot of times we do it because we think that this is the best way to put out the statement, but overdoing the statement also leaves it redundant in grammar. Next, a and an must always be followed by fairly plus the adjective plus the noun, or rather must always take a plus the adjective. So these are rules. So a and an अगर मिल जाएगा आपको तो आप fairly लगाओगे और एक adjective लगाओगे और एक noun लगाओगे बगल में. That's how the script of it is. Likewise, rather लगेगा तो a लगेगा और एक adjective लगेगा. So if I say a fairly good book, so a fairly adjective noun. This is how the statement has come. Rather a difficult problem. So that's how it is. Rather you have an adjective followed by, of course, an adjective will always be succeeded by a noun because that's the quality it is going to be saying. But we cannot use pleasant adjectives with rather and unpleasant adjectives with fairly. So always remember, every time you want to use rather, you will have to make sure that it is going to be a negative idea, whereas every time you want to use the word fairly, it needs to have a positive idea. So you cannot do this. So they don't go with a negative idea. Fairly, not with a negative idea, rather not with a pleasant idea. So it is a rather good book. Now that is wrong because rather always takes a negative connotation. So it is a fairly good book because this is what takes a positive connotation. Next, enough, when used as an adverb, is preceded by a positive degree adjective or adverb. Always remember there will have to be something of positive nature to give more structure to the word enough. So this rule is with respect to enough. So if I have a statement that says he's greater enough to pardon you, no, he is great enough to pardon you. So since the rule simply said that needs to be preceded by, preceded is पहले, so उसके पहले आपके पास क्या आना है, एक पॉजिटिव डिग्री का, पॉजिटिव मतलब फर्स्ट डिग्री, पॉजिटिव कंपैरेटिव सुपरलेटिव, सो ग्रेटर इज कंपैरेटिव, ये नहीं हो सकता, पॉजिटिव डिग्री का एडजेक्टिव या एडवर्ब उसमें होना चाहिए. नेक्स्ट, टू नेगेटिव्स कैंसल ईच अदर, वी ऑलवेज नो, मैथ्स का भी रूल है माइनस माइनस प्लस. Hence, two negatives should not be used in the same sentence unless we want to make an affirmation. Two negatives in a statement will always render the statement positive. So I have not got none is not how it is, because I have not got none, minus minus they will cancel and it simply leaves I have got something. The correct way to say it, I have not got any. मेरे पास कुछ नहीं. एक negative connotation रखोगे तो हमेशा negative answer आएगा. At present means at the present time. Presently means shortly. These should not be confused. So the common confusables wherein we often tend to make the mistake. So if I say nothing more can be done presently, that's not right, because presently का तो मतलब shortly होता है, right? तो shortly थोड़ी यहाँ पे idea आ रहा है. In fact, the correct version has to be nothing more can be done at present. Likewise, he will come back at present. That's again going to be wrong because we want to talk about the fact that he's going to come back shortly, which is why the correct idea will be he will come back presently. So common confusables, but with two very different meanings. So you'll have to be careful about that. Hard always means diligent, strenuously. Hardly means scarcely at all. So hardly means shayad hi kuch hai. Hard means somebody who is very hardworking. So वो diligent वाला idea आता है. Again, these two adverbial forms must not be confused. So he tried hardly to win the race. No, he tried hard to win the race. He tried hardly मतलब उसने तो मेहनत ही नहीं की रेस जीतने की. नहीं, उसने काफी मेहनत की जीतने की is how the idea is. So we put a hard over here and not a hardly. Likewise, she's eaten hard anything today. She's eaten hardly because we want to give out the idea that she has scarcely eaten anything today. Next, much is used before past participles and adjectives or adverbs of degree, comparative degree. Very is used before the present participle and adjectives and adverbs of positive degree. So first degree of adjectives या adverb कभी भी आएगा तो हमेशा क्या लगेगा, very. और जब comparative degree, second degree आएगा तो हमेशा लगेगा much. So if I say this news is much surprising, no, this news is very surprising. Why? Because over here we are still looking for a positive angle to it. Like positive as in the first degree wala, positive comparative superlative wala positive. Likewise, I was very surprised at hearing the news. I was much surprised. Why? Because now this is a statement of the past. Statement ने बोला past participle के साथ क्या लगेगा, या comparative degree का लगेगा, and we are going to use a much. So present के साथ very लगेगा, past के साथ much लगेगा. This is what the rule says. Next, hardly as an adverb means rarely, whereas hard as an adjective means tough or rigid. So something that we did right now, pretty close. So it is a hardly job nahi hoga. Hardly again becomes something which is rarely, something that is scarce in nature. So it is a hard job is what is correct. Next, ago is always used with past indefinite tense. So if ago is used in a sentence, and the sentence must be in the past indefinite tense. Always remember that. So he has come a month ago. Now that's not going to be correct because you can't simply say he has come. It will have to be he came a month ago, because the rule says it has to be past indefinite in nature. Next, at present means at the moment, and it is used with present tense, whereas presently and shortly are used for future actions and generally used with future indefinite sense. So we just did that. This is just giving us an allocation कि उनका tense कहाँ लगना है. So presently he is in the room, no, at present. Why? Because at present is always used for this moment, so it is going to be used with a present tense, right? Likewise, presently and shortly is always going to be used for a future action that is being talked about. So at present, he is in the room becomes correct. Next. Early means just after the beginning of anything, and soon means just after a point of time. So you need to know the distinction over there. So rose blossomed early this spring, which means it is just after the beginning of anything, right? So if the roses blossom, matlab फूल बस खिला, spring आया नहीं, फूल खिल गया. That is how it is. So please understand they have very distinct meaning to themselves, and you should not be interchanging the two. Next, the sentences which start with seldom, never, hardly, rarely, or scarcely takes an inverse structure, which is always going to be verb subject structure, right? So, for example, hardly I had seen such a beautiful sight. No, hardly had I seen such a beautiful sight. Sorry, seldom or hardly, okay, either ways. So, seldom say kar lo, seldom had I seen such a beautiful sight. So, my rule simply says it will first be the verb, hence I have had over, seldom ke baad had over here, followed by the subject, hence I have I over here, and then of course the structure, which is the predicate part of the statement. So that is what I have over here. Next, inversion is also used in a sentence which starts with here, there, away, out, up, indoor, outdoor, and main verb, or auxiliary plus main verb is also used for the subject. So now away Sita is not how it is going to be. It will always be Sita. Away went Sita. So you want to use an inversion, that is okay. It is going to start with statements which are going to have these words, but then at that point of time, it is going to be the inversion, that is the word, plus the verb, plus the subject. So word, subject. That's how the rule has come together. Next. So until now we were doing adverbs. We will now get on to conjunctions. Now what are conjunctions? Words that bring two statements together, right? Now let's see. First, two conjunctions should not be used in the same sentence, because if you are using two, it will cancel or it will make the statement overdo itself. Two of the things that we don't like. So although she was tired, but she still went on working, that's wrong. So you've already put an although, you've introduced the idea of contradiction. You don't have to put a but. Put one and that's enough. Putting two conjunctions will not give you extra meaning to it. So although she was tired, she still went on working becomes the correct answer. Both should be followed by and. This is a pair. It's a correlative conjunction, so you can't leave the either. It should be used in a positive sense. If it is negative, you are going to use neither nor. So both Ravi as well as Raja were present. This was going to be wrong because as well as लगा देंगे तो dependent subject बन गया ना. ये तो हमने subject verb agreement में कर लिया था. So it is going to be both Ravi and Raja were present. Either or and neither nor are correlations. Always use them together. Likewise, both and, not only but also, they should always have the same part of speech. That is, अगर एक जगह verb है, दूसरी जगह verb, एक जगह past tense है, दूसरी जगह past tense, parallelism maintain करना बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी होता है. So he not only lost his ticket but also his luggage. That's going to be wrong. He lost not only his ticket but also his luggage. Why? If you put lost within the bracket over here, then it is going to be ticket lose हुआ, luggage के साथ क्या हुआ मुझे नहीं पता. But अगर आपने lost को बाहर लगा दिया, remember maths में हम लोग जब x plus a plus b करते थे तो इसका आता था xa plus xb. So when you put an x outside the correlative conjunction, the idea multiplies with both. So he lost not only the ticket but also the baggage. Here lost is going to go to both. So see, maths actually comes in handy also at times. Next, neither should always be followed by nor, either should be followed by or. Do not confuse because one is positive, the other is negative. So he washed neither his hands or his face nahi ho sakta. It will have to be nor his face. Agla. No sooner should be followed by than, not by but or then. So the entire correlative conjunction is no sooner than. Then nahi lagta hai, na ki but. So no sooner do I finish this book, then I shall, no. No sooner do I finish this book than. So be very careful. These are little errors that actually render the statement completely wrong. Hardly and scarcely should be followed by when or before, but not by than or that. सो जब जब आप हार्डली करोगे तो आप हमेशा क्या करोगे, यू आर गोइंग टू फॉलो इट अप विद अ व्हेन और बिफोर. So hardly did I reach the station, then the train left. Wrong. Hardly did I reach the station when the train left, because when या before में से हमें use करना है. Next, that should not be used before a sentence in direct speech and before interrogative adverbs or pronouns in indirect speech. That आपको नहीं use करना है on two conditions. अगर it is a sentence with a direct speech, second कोई interrogative idea है indirect speech का. So he said that I shall go there. No, he said. ये तो direct indirect में हम लोगों ने किया है. Likewise, he asked me that who I was. This is of course interrogation. So he asked me who I was. That free में आता है तो कहीं पे भी मत लगा दो उसको. Next, we're now going to move on to prepositions. So what are prepositions? Words that help us identify the positioning of the object with respect to the subject. Let's see. Objective case of noun or pronoun is used after a preposition. Objective becomes all of the pronouns that we use or all of the nouns that are used to denote the receiver, the object. Right? So rule मेरा बोलता है कि अगर एक प्रोनाउन है तो प्रोनाउन के बगल में हमेशा एक ऑब्जेक्टिव केस होना चाहिए, क्योंकि रिसीव कौन कर रहा है ये तो बताओ. सो इफ आई से द बुक इज ऑन द टेबल, तो टेबल चाहिए ना मुझे, क्योंकि ऑन किस पे है वो तो चाहिए ही होगा. Likewise, I do not depend on he नहीं हो सकता, because he is a subjective casing, it is nominative. I do not depend on him, क्योंकि मेरे रूल ने कहा कि ऑब्जेक्टिव केस को लगाओ. The preposition used after two words must be made clear if these two words are connected by and or. So it's very important that we understand कि ये connection किससे बना रहे हैं ये लोग, क्योंकि एक preposition हमेशा आपको use करना पड़ेगा if in case you are using the words that are connected by and या तो फिर or. And से अगर और से हो रहा है तो आपको use करना ही पड़ेगा. So she's conscious and engaged in her work is going to be wrong. She's conscious of and engaged in her work. Again parallelism भी देखो, अगर यहाँ पे एक preposition है तो यहाँ पे भी दो ना मुझे, अगर आपने उसी तरीके से use किया है तो. Next, if a principal verb is used after, अगर एक principal verb main verb use किया गया है after, about, after, at, before, for, from, in, on, to, that, verb must be in its ing form. So he prevented me from do it गलत हो जाएगा, क्योंकि हमने ये सारे वर्ड्स यूज किए हैं तो मेरा जो वर्ब है वो ing फॉर्म में ही होना है. So you prevented me from doing it is what is going to be the correct version. Next, on, in, at are not used before today, tomorrow, yesterday, the following day, the next day, etc. आप नहीं यूज करते. Please be very careful. हमारी बहुत ज्यादा आदत होती है इसको लगाने की. So he will go there on tomorrow. No, he will go there tomorrow, because tomorrow in itself is giving meaning enough. So you don't have to worry about it anymore. No preposition is used before the word home. At home is a phrase which bears a very different meaning. So जब preposition किसी word के पहले लगता है, so it's very likely कि वो एक phrasal verb बन जाए. तो हर समय एक word preposition का ही काम नहीं करता है. Grammar always goes as per the usage is how we know. So bring a TV set at home is wrong. At home means when you're very comfortable, you're very, you're very cushioned in the kind of environment it is. So bring a TV set home. That's about it. We don't have to say at home at all. Next, after a transitive verb like discuss, describe, reach, order, tell, demand, attack, resemble, ridicule, etc., we directly use the object and no preposition is used after the verb. Please always understand. So the poet describes about the beauty. No, describe का तो मतलब भी about होता है. It's as good as saying I have two daughters, both are girls. Revert back to my, अरे revert का तो मतलब ही होता है वापस देना, तो back लगाने की क्या जरूरत है. So the poet describes about, nahi, describe is already about, so you don't have to add it. So the poet describes the beauty of nature in his poem. Say, suggest, propose, speak, reply, explain, talk, listen, write is followed by to. Always remember it needs a to itself. Preposition if there is a person in the form of the object. So अगर आपके पास कोई भी receiver है which is in the form of a person, you will have to use it. So he did not reply me. Person है ना, receiver is a person, so he did not reply to me. Likewise, he did not write to a letter. He did not write a letter. क्यों? क्योंकि यहाँ पे नॉन लिविंग है. अगर लिविंग होगा तो टू लगाओगे, नॉन लिविंग है तो आप कुछ भी नहीं लगाओगे. Next, we now come to the last bit of it, which are going to be uses around pronouns. So what are pronouns? Pronouns are words that are used in substitution or in replacement of nouns. Let's go. When a pronoun is used as a complement of the verb to be, it should be in the nominative cases only. So whenever there is going to be a pronoun which is going to be used as a complement to the verb, complement means something that is going to complete. तो अगर to be के साथ use हो रहा है, हमेशा याद रखना, या be के फॉर्मेट के साथ यूज कर रहा है, वो हमेशा नॉमिनेटिव केसिंग में ही होगा. सो इफ आई वर हिम, ही वुड नॉट गो. दैट्स नॉट व्हाट इट इज. इफ आई वर ही, ये वर इज बी का फॉर्म ना. सो वी नो बी के क्या क्या फॉर्म्स होते हैं. इज, आर, was, were, has, have, am, does, don't. राइट. सो यहाँ पे अगर, अब यहाँ पे वर क्यों लगा है? क्योंकि हाइपोथेटिकल स्टेटमेंट है, इफ से है. लाइकवाइज, सो इफ आई वर हिम, नाउ आई नो दैट इट इज फॉलोड बाय a nominative case. I mean, it is followed by a complementary verb. So of course, I will have to use a nominative casing over here. Next, when a pronoun is used as an object of the verb or of the preposition, it should be in objective case. Now, if that pronoun is the receiver of that verb, that is, उस एक्शन का रिसीवर है, तो ऑब्वियसली उसको ऑब्जेक्टिव केस में होना होगा, क्योंकि वो तो ऑब्जेक्ट का काम कर रहा है, वो सब्जेक्ट का काम थोड़ी कर रहा है. लेट यू एंड आई डू इट, नो. लेट यू एंड मी डू इट, बिकॉज ये लेटिंग जो वर्ब है, इसका रिसीवर है ना मी, तो ऑब्वियसली इट विल हैव टू बी ऑब्जेक्टिव. These presents are for you and I, these presents are for you and me. Again, objective in nature. Next, emphatic pronouns cannot stand alone as subjects. So they cannot. So to say himself did it wrong, they always need a support before you use the reflexive pronoun, also called emphatic pronouns. So he himself did it. Himself के पहले एक he चाहिए, मुझे एक वहां पे pronoun चाहिए या एक noun. The city itself is very small. Itself is very small city नहीं बोलते हैं हम लोग. Next, the indefinite pronoun one should be used throughout if used at all. So you must always make sure that one must is how it is supposed to be used. So one must not boast of his success. That's not right. So if you're using one, then the kind of pronoun qualification also that you will do will be one's. It will not be his or her, because one में gender नहीं पता है. तो अगर gender नहीं पता है तो आप उसको his या her नहीं बता सकते हो. It is going to be wrong altogether. Either and neither is used only in speaking of two persons or things. Any, no one, none is used for speaking for more than two. So be careful कितने लोगों के बारे में बात कर रहे हो. So any one of these two roads lead to the railway station, गलत. टू का काउंट है ना, so टू का काउंट है तो हमेशा आएगा either of these two roads. Likewise, neither of the three boys, ये नहीं हो सकता है, थ्री का काउंट है, इसीलिए no one of these three boys or none of the three boys, however you want to put it, but the count is very important. Likewise, each other is always two, amongst is always three or more, right? So you cannot use it otherwise. Each other is used in speaking of two persons. One another is used. Oh, we just spoke of this. More than two. So the two brothers loved one another can't be, it's a count of two. इसमें आएगा each other. Next, a noun or pronoun governing a gerund should always be put in a possessive case. So if you see that there is a gerund, तो gerund के पहले अगर आपका pronoun है तो वो possessive casing में ही होगा. So please excuse me being late. No, being over here is not the verb, it is a gerund. It is a verb acting as a noun. So over here, please excuse my being late. Possessive casing में आएगा. Next, a pronoun must agree with its antecedent in person, name and gender, because pronouns are nothing but replacement to nouns. मतलब उसको वही काम करना पड़ेगा और उसी क्वालिटी के साथ करना पड़ेगा जो नाउन कर रहा है, not otherwise. So each of these boys has done their homework. ये गलत है. Each of these boys I know is singular. So जब मेरा subject singular हो गया तो मेरा pronoun कैसे plural आ सकता है? By default मेरा pronoun भी singular आना है. अब ये his क्यों लगाया? क्योंकि यहाँ पे boys है. So obviously I know that the gender is male. When two or more singular nouns are joined by and, the pronoun used for them must always be plural. Clearly. So if I say both Raju and Ravi have done his, ये नहीं हो सकता. Both, right? यहाँ पे दो subject आ गए ना, तो pronoun भी plural दो मुझे. So over here it is going to be there. Next rule, when two or more singular nouns are joined by and refer to the same person or thing, the pronoun used for them must be singular. Same subject verb agreement का rule. And से दो तो जुड़े, जैसे bread and butter is my breakfast, it fills me up. They fill me up नहीं हो सकता ना. So that's exactly what the rule is. So the collector and the district magistrate, दोनों एक ही बंदा है, is not negligent in their duty, is not negligent in his duty. अगर इसको दो लोग बनानी होती तो the collector and the district magistrate, दो articles लगा के उसको quantify करते हम लोग. Next, when two or more singular nouns are joined by or nor, either, neither, the pronoun used by them should always be singular by default. Because either और neither का मतलब होता है दोनों में से एक या कोई भी नहीं. 0 और 1 का count तो singular ही होगा. So neither Ravi nor Raju has done their homework, has done his. Obviously कोई एक ही बंदा आया ना उसमें. When two or more singular pronouns of different persons come together, the pronoun of the second person singular you comes first, and the pronoun of the first person singular I comes last, and the pronoun of the third person comes in between. So all what it says is जब तीन लोग होते हैं तो format हमेशा क्या होगा? The correct format will be second person, third person, and first person. So I, you, and he must do their work? No. Second person you, third person he, first person I. You, he, and I must always do the work. Very important rule, please remember. When two or more plural pronouns of different persons come together, first person we comes first, then second person you, and last of all will always be the third person. अब plurality में अगर है, so it is always going to be in the way in which the first person in collective will come first, hence it is we, second person, and then of course the third person. Now this is when they are being talked in different persons. So instead of saying you, they, and we must work, we, you, and they must work. Next, the relative pronoun who is in subjective case, whereas whom is in objective case, right? Who हमेशा subjective होता है, whom हमेशा objective होता है. Therefore, for who there must be a finite verb in the sentence, or otherwise when whom, that is the object, is being used, there is more finite verb than the number of subjects in the sentence, then whom should be changed to who. So बहुत ही complicated सा rule है, बस rule इतना बोल रहा है कि who हमेशा subjective में लगाओगे, whom हमेशा objective में लगाओगे. So the doctor whom came here is Ravi, was Ravi's brother. Obviously यहाँ पे who आएगा, क्यों? क्योंकि डॉक्टर सब्जेक्ट है और मैं रूल में बोला था सब्जेक्ट में हमेशा who लगेगा. Whom लगेगा when you are talking about the object. The superlative degree adjective only, none, all, etc. as relative pronouns, we use that and not which or who. तो जब भी आप superlative degree of adjective यूज करते हो तो प्लीज बहुत ध्यान रखना कि आपका जो relative pronoun है वो that लगेगा, ना कि which or who. So all which glitters is not gold, all that glitters is not gold. And let's get to the last. After let, if a pronoun is used, that pronoun must always be in its objective case. हमने starting में भी किया था, so all of your words like let, suppose, so between you and me, you and I नहीं बोलते, between you and me, let's do this. So ये सब words के साथ हमेशा objective ही लगेगा. So let he go there, let him go there. And with that, we come to an end to all of the 100 rules. I hope these are going to help you plenty. Well, I'm very confident that they will, provided you embrace it the way it is supposed to be. Practice hard, practice ferociously, practice aggressively, because if you know these, there is no stopping to you guys. Thank you so much for giving me your valuable time. You're going to see me very soon doing more such stuff. But until then, please stay put with these and know them at the back of your hand. Happy studying, everybody. Thank you so much.